The death world was alive with dangers, a crucible of unyielding challenges. Towering trees with needle-sharp leaves cast fragmented shadows across a forest floor teeming with venomous insects. Rivers cut through the dense jungle like veins of molten silver, but beneath their shimmering surfaces lurked predators waiting for the careless or the unprepared. This was not a world for the weak. Only the clever, the resilient, or the lucky could hope to survive. From the very beginning, humans proved they were all three. Their ancestors were fragile compared to the predators that stalked the wilderness. Saber-toothed cats with fangs like daggers, wolves that hunted in perfect packs, and bears with the strength to topple trees. And yet, those early humans thrived. Armed with little more than their wits and crude tools, they turned a death world into a home. Humanity's rise was not marked by brute strength or sheer dominance. What set them apart was something deeper, a strange combination of audacity and curiosity. They didn't merely survive the predators around them. They studied them, learned from them, and in some cases, sought to connect with them. The first firelight gatherings were not just celebrations of victory over the dark. They were signals to the creatures of the wild. We are here. Let's see who can adapt faster. At first, the encounters were wary and fraught with tension. A lone wolf drawn to the scraps of a hunter's feast might linger at the edge of a campfire's glow. Sharp teeth bared and eyes gleaming, the predator watched and waited, prepared to lunge if threatened. But the humans didn't strike it down. Instead, they tossed a bone its way, a gesture that was neither submission nor dominance, but something else entirely, a gamble on trust. That gamble marked the beginning of humanity's most unusual relationship. Over generations, wolves stopped being enemies. They became allies, then partners, then something more. The bond formed between humans and wolves evolved into something unprecedented: domestication. And with that, the world saw the first inklings of what humanity was capable of. But it didn't stop there. The pattern repeated, sometimes intentionally, sometimes by accident. Cats, creatures that hunted in the shadows, were drawn to human settlements. At first, they were pests, drawn by the rodents feasting on human grain stores. Yet, instead of driving them away, humans allowed them to stay. In time, the small predators became protectors, guarding food supplies against vermin and purring softly by the fireside. Even the birds of prey, creatures that humans once feared, became allies. Falcons were trained to hunt, their razor-sharp talons guided by the steady hands of their human companions. In every corner of the world, humans found ways to turn predators into partners, not by breaking their spirits, but by forging a mutual understanding. This wasn't mere survival. It was an instinct to connect, to build something greater than what nature alone had provided. Humanity wasn't content to fear its predators. Instead, it sought to adopt them, to learn from them, and to grow stronger together. The bond between humanity and predators was not born without trial or sacrifice. Early attempts to forge alliances were fraught with danger. A single misstep could mean death. Humans were not the fastest nor the strongest, but they had something their rivals did not: an uncanny ability to observe, adapt, and endure. The first wolves brought into the human fold were not tamed easily. The process was one of mutual risk. Humans approached cautiously, leaving food at the edges of their camps. It was a fragile truce, marked by mistrust on both sides. The wolves, drawn by hunger, crept closer night after night, testing the boundaries of safety. For every wolf that grew closer to humanity, another turned aggressive, seeing the humans as easy prey. Some bonds failed disastrously, but humanity learned. Over time, the people who survived these encounters refined their methods. They realized the key wasn't to dominate, but to earn trust. Wolves respected strength and confidence, but were drawn to kindness. It was a delicate balance, one humanity mastered through persistence and ingenuity. Other attempts were less successful. The strength of apex predators like lions and bears made them tempting prospects, but the risks often outweighed the rewards. Early humans who sought to domesticate larger, more aggressive creatures were met with tragedy. Families were lost to failed experiments, communities fractured by the weight of their ambition. Yet, even in these failures, humanity learned important lessons. Smaller predators and scavengers proved more practical. Foxes, for example, were quick to learn human patterns, stealing scraps in the night. At first, they were nuisances, but eventually their intelligence and adaptability earned them a place in human settlements. Birds like crows and ravens, long viewed as ominous harbingers, proved themselves invaluable in their own way. These clever scavengers learned to follow human hunters, picking at carcasses, but also alerting their companions to potential dangers. Over time, humans and birds developed an unspoken partnership, each benefiting from the other's presence. These alliances were more than survival mechanisms. They reshaped humanity itself. The humans who worked with predators developed sharper instincts, greater patience, and an unparalleled understanding of the natural world. They learned to see through the eyes of their allies, to think as wolves did when hunting, to predict the movements of their prey like a hawk soaring above the plains. This partnership fundamentally altered the course of human evolution. The risks, however, never entirely vanished. Every alliance carried the weight of its own fragility. Even tamed predators had wild instincts. A wolf pack could turn if threatened. A falcon might refuse to return. A cat might abandon its home. These moments reminded humanity that coexistence was a privilege, not a right. They learned respect for the creatures they worked alongside, a respect rooted in the understanding that nature was neither kind nor cruel. It simply was. Through these hard-earned lessons, humanity began to see predators not as threats to be eliminated, but as mirrors reflecting their own instincts. In their predators, they saw themselves, calculating, persistent, and capable of remarkable loyalty. This bond between humans and the wild defined them, shaping the foundation of their resilience and their unique approach to the challenges ahead. When humanity finally left their homeworld and stepped into the vastness of space, they carried their legacy of coexistence with them. The planets they discovered were as varied as they were hostile. Deserts of eternal storms, jungles of bioluminescent chaos, and oceans so deep that even light was swallowed whole. Yet no matter the challenge, the Deathworlders approached these alien ecosystems with the same determination they had shown on Earth. The apex predators of these worlds were unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. On one world, colossal serpents coiled through forests of crystal trees, their bodies shimmering with reflective scales that camouflaged them against the dazzling light. On another, swarms of insectoid hunters moved as a single mind, overwhelming prey with speed and precision. Where other species might have fortified themselves or fled, humans moved forward, their curiosity undeterred. They began as observers, cataloging behaviors, studying the rhythms of their new environments. The same principles that guided their ancestors on Earth were applied here. Patience, respect, and a willingness to learn. They watched the predators hunt, understanding their patterns and weaknesses. But humanity wasn't looking for ways to conquer them. They sought opportunities for connection. The first alliances were tentative. A team of explorers on a swamp-covered planet made cautious contact with an amphibious predator that resembled an oversized axolotl with razor-sharp teeth. The creature had been attacking their equipment, drawn by the hum of its power cells. Instead of retaliating, the humans lured it away with food. Over time, they discovered that its territorial nature made it an excellent guardian against other, more aggressive species. On a barren moon rich in minerals, miners found themselves stalked by enormous, flightless birds with serrated beaks and piercing cries. The workers began leaving scraps of food at the edge of their camps, and the birds, once hostile, grew curious. Within weeks, they were following the miners, protecting them from the moon's native ambush predators in exchange for regular meals. The once feared creatures became partners, a relationship cemented by trust. Alien civilizations took notice. To them, the Deathworlders' approach was incomprehensible. Most species either avoided apex predators or eradicated them. The idea of forging bonds with such creatures seemed reckless, if not suicidal. Yet time and again, humanity proved that their methods worked. These alliances didn't just benefit the humans, they often improved the ecosystems themselves. Predators that might have been wiped out by other colonizing species thrived under human stewardship, their natural behaviors preserved and even enhanced. Humanity's ability to adopt predators extended beyond ecosystems. It shaped their relationships with other intelligent species. On one occasion, humans encountered a sentient alien race resembling massive mantises. These creatures were territorial and aggressive, initially attacking any who came near. Yet the humans approached them not with weapons, but with open hands, offering food and gestures of goodwill. Over time, what began as hostility turned into a tentative peace. In every corner of the galaxy, humanity became known as the species that tamed the untamable. They didn't do it through force or fear, but by offering something no one else dared to: trust. Humanity's legacy among the stars became something unique, something that other species could not replicate. They were no longer seen merely as Deathworlders, a species hardened by the dangers of their homeworld. They were something far stranger, the Adopters. Where others saw threats, they saw potential. Where others destroyed, they nurtured. This philosophy, born on Earth, carried them to the farthest reaches of the galaxy and became their defining trait. One story told among the stars spoke of a young human who saved a wounded alien predator on a harsh, volcanic planet. The creature was a towering quadruped with molten red eyes and an array of spines that gleamed like obsidian. It had been left behind by its pack, injured and starving, and most species would have avoided it. But the human approached with caution and care, offering food and water. At first, the predator lashed out, its strength driven by fear. The human didn't retaliate, instead waiting at a safe distance, returning each day with supplies. Slowly, trust formed. What was once a fearsome beast became a loyal companion, defending the human from other dangers on the volatile planet. Such stories became commonplace, told and retold across countless worlds. It wasn't just that humanity could adapt to any environment. It was their ability to transform hostility into kinship that set them apart. Alien civilizations, some of them millennia older than humanity, began to adopt similar practices. Where before they had hunted or avoided the predators of their worlds, they now sought to understand them. In doing so, they gained insight into the ecosystems they inhabited, realizing that every creature, no matter how dangerous, had a role to play. Humanity's alliances with predators weren't just practical. They were symbolic. They reflected humanity's own journey, once fragile, once hunted, but now a force of unity and resilience. Their willingness to connect with the wildest, most dangerous aspects of the galaxy demonstrated a philosophy that resonated far beyond their own species. It became a bridge between civilizations, showing that trust could overcome fear, and that coexistence was more powerful than conquest. Even among their closest allies, humanity's approach stood out. Species that had fought wars with one another for centuries began to see the value in cooperation. Humanity, with its history of adopting the untamable, became mediators in disputes that once seemed irreconcilable. They brought the same patience and empathy to diplomacy that they had once brought to wolves and falcons. But humanity's legacy wasn't one of perfection. They understood that not every bond could be forged, and not every predator could be tamed. There were failures, moments of loss, and lessons learned through hardship. Yet these struggles only reinforced their determination. The Deathworlders knew better than anyone that survival was never guaranteed, but that the effort to build trust was always worth it. In the end, humanity left an indelible mark on the galaxy. They didn't conquer, they didn't dominate, they connected. They adopted predators, turned enemies into allies, and reshaped worlds by simply being who they had always been. The species that saw potential in everything, even in the shadows of danger. And in doing so, they prove that strength is not in destruction, but in the bonds we choose to create.